What's up, everyone? I'm back this time to talk about a different game than Transformers. We're talking Magic today. This is going to be the first in a series that I'm going to do called Cheap Tricks. It's a commander series where I talk about some cool budget commander decks where every deck is going to cost around 70 to $80 probably at most. And either way they'll all be under 100. So for a 100 card singleton, the fact that each card in the deck essentially cost you under $1 means that, it's pretty reasonable to do. And also, because of basic lands and things, and other cards not costing a full dollar, we can get some powerful effects in here. But today I'm going to start off with Cormala. She's a commander I actually have built in paper as a cool commons and uncommons only deck, and I wanted to build her more powerful. So that's going to be a deck I'm going to build is this one. Um, she's a really cool legend from New Capenna. She's an uncommon, which is really nice for cost, but that doesn't mean she's not powerful. The cool thing about her is she actually has a gold inlaid printing. That's pretty cheap, so you can bling out your commander, because we all know that's one of the most important things in the format, is got to have the bling. Um, but anyway, so she's a 2/4 for 4 Grixis mana and 1 with haste. She has pay 1 tapper, add Grixis to your mana pool, spend this only to cast instants and sorcery spells. When she dies, you return up to 1 instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. So, at her face, she's just a mana dork. But either she does have haste, which means as long as you have 1 floating mana, you can make 3 mana, which gives you a lot of extending of your turns. But her Archaeomancer effect when she dies is kind of her big draw to me, because it allows you to do some really cool combos, and combo potential recursion is just really good in Commander. The deck we have today is actually, I call the deck Blood Debt, um, in reference to the card Wall of Blood, and also in Flesh and Blood I play a hero called Levia, whose mechanic is called Blood Debt, where she takes damage to get at the end of her turns to play very powerful cards, which is kind of what this deck's about. It's a self-paying life deck, and you're going to notice in this series a lot, we're going to be playing a lot of Wall of Blood. I'll start by saying that. The card is very ridiculous and very cheap. Just 1 life to get +1/+1 on the wall is really good. But with Cormala, this allows us to recur combo pieces that work with our Wall of Blood, and other pay life effects to basically go off, is kind of the idea. So, the first card, this is going to be Essence Harvest. So, if you look at Essence Harvest mana cost, conveniently it is 3 without any double costs, so we can actually pay it right off of Cormala's ability. This is entirely intentional. It says target player loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So with our wall, we can pay pretty much all of our life, go to 1, and then cast this Essence Harvest and deal 39 to a player and gain 39 back. Which then if we have a way to sacrifice or Cormela, we can pick up the Essence Harvest again and do this other turn. Every other turn we just gained all of our life back, so we can repeatedly do this. And this is just a way to basically pop a player instantly without, we basically, the only risk we have here is either our Wall of Blood dying or getting zapped when we go super low for our combo turn. This deck does have a bit of a weakness where if we get hit early or focused early, we can't really go for our big combos. But we do have some interaction. The rest of the deck, besides the combos that I'm showing off today, is pretty much flexible interaction slots and tutor slots for you to customize as you see fit. So you can basically pick for your playgroup what kind of interaction you need to make sure you can go off. But Wall of Blood not only can just one-shot our opponent with this pay life ability, we have some other synergies, which are Ruthless Technomancer and Disciple of Bolas. So, Ruthless Technomancer, when it ETBs, you sack a creature, and you create treasures equal to its power, so we can use our wall to make a ridiculous amount of mana. And then it also has pay 3, sacrifice X artifacts, reanimate a creature, power X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. X can't be 0. Which we'll go over why that can be relevant in the next section. But Technomancer is just huge ramp. Even if we're not using wall, we can just sacrifice another creature for value to make some treasures. And it also just being a reanimation engine is pretty nice. Card's actually, I think, underplayed in Commander. It's very, very strong. Disciple of Bolas is another way to abuse the pay life for power. When it enters the battlefield, same cost as Technomancer. For 4 mana, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the sacrificed creature's power, so we can pay all of our life to the wall, sacrifice it, gain all that life back, and then we also draw like 39 cards or however much life we paid. And at that point you should find a combo, and since we're back to what our life total started at, we shouldn't be in too much risk of dying if we don't just win that turn. So it's pretty... These cards just are ways to value off of our power being ridiculously high when we want it to be, without necessarily getting a kill immediately. But when I said with Technomancer where that reanimation can come in handy is right here. So the deck, I recommend playing Buried Alive if you have access to it, because it allows Necrotic Ooze piles extremely easily. So if we have the wall in play, and we go Technomancer on 4, we can sacrifice our Wall of Blood, make a bunch of mana, I would say you will probably want to do this when you have more life, obviously, so you don't just instantly die. But we can do things where we make all this mana, and if we have a way to gain back our life, ways to do this would be giving the Ooze lifelink, or having effects like that. We can then use the mana to reanimate Necrotic Ooze that we just buried alive in the graveyard. You can play cards like Cabal Initiate, I believe it's called. Yep, Cabal Initiate. And Cabal Initiate has discard a card to give it lifelink. And when we give it lifelink, we can pay 3 mana, sacrifice 4 artifacts from the Technomancer, so 4 of our treasures, to get back Ooze. Then Ooze has the activated abilities of Wall of Blood to pay life to gain power. It has the activated abilities of the Initiate to gain lifelink. And it has the activated abilities of Spike Shot Elder. So Spike Shot Elder says pay red, red 1, deals damage equal to its power to any target. So we can use 3 treasures again, shoot the Ooze to our opponent. If we gave it lifelink by discarding a card, now we're gaining 4 life back. We can then pay 4 life to give it more power, use 3 treasures, shoot the opponent. Now we just gained more life, pay all that life again, and you can basically get this exponential growth of damage dealing to the opponent while gaining life. And we have so many treasures from the Technomancer that this should just be enough to win the game. Not to mention, Ooze also can gain abilities from your opponent's graveyard. Another Ooze pile I like in this deck, it's not shown here, is there's a card called Dwarven Strike Force, which has discard a card at random. It gains haste. So you can bury it alive for something like Wall of Blood, Necrotic Ooze, and the Strike Force, discard a card, pay all your life, and now Ooze has haste. If you have the Initiate, it now has lifelink, and then you just swing at your opponent for huge amounts of damage. Like, if say you're at full when you do this, now you're swinging for 33 damage. Not trampling, but still 33 damage coming at the opponent. Ooze is just a messed up card, and with the reprints it's still budget. So Ooze should be in almost any high-powered commander deck, and finding a way to abuse it, especially if you have Buried Alive to tutor things for the graveyard. However, non-graveyard related combos we have that don't involve Wall of Blood, we have Fire Covenant. Fire Covenant's another card that just lets us pay any amount of life, as long as we have it, and it deals X damage divided as we choose among any number of target creatures. So it doesn't hit face initially, but that's where we have the Mogmaniac effects, where we have Mogmaniac, Ill-Tempered Loner, I believe it's called, and any other effect that when the creature's dealt damage, it does that much damage to an opponent, kind of like the Boros Reckoner's effect. Mogmaniac's in here because it's the cheapest one at 2 mana. Spiteful Sliver is 3 mana, and then Loner's 4 mana. But basically we can shoot our Maniac with the Covenant and deal that much to an opponent. It's very risky because unless we have a way to give the Maniac lifelink, which you definitely can include in the deck, like I said, basically the rest of the spell slots are pretty flexible for how you want to combo off. You can shoot it, deal that much damage to the opponent, should kill someone if they have lower life than you, and then if you give it lifelink, you gain all that life back. And with Cormela, you can then pick up the Fire Covenant and repeat this process. You'd have to reanimate the Maniac since he doesn't have Indestructible, but that's not too hard to do. Feldon is when he's dealt damage, you exile that many cards from the top of your deck. Choose one of them until your next turn, you may play it. So if you're like one card away from comboing off with one of our other win cons, you can just shoot the Feldon to essentially look at a ton of cards and then pick one. A good way to just solidify a win, especially with this deck plays an infinite mana combo, which we'll see next. It's a good way to find missing pieces for that. So, Feldon's cool too. Like, if people are playing Blasphemous Act and they hit him, you, like, exile 13 cards and then pick one to play until your next turn. So it's not draw 13, but it's look at 13 for card selection. He can't block, but, like, he's here just to basically look through your deck, find your combo pieces. Like, this deck's built to be raw efficient. That infinite mana combo, though, involves your commander, so she's not actually just here for colors, or to recur things. She has a legit combo in this deck, which involves Ashnod's Altar and either Goryo's Vengeance or Demonic Gifts. Goryo's is return target creature, legendary from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exile it at the end step. We're not getting it to the end step, so it's not going to exile. Demonic Gifts says when the creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control, and it has +2/+0. We don't care about the power, we just care about that last line, especially because it enters untapped. This is one of the only effects like this that makes the creature return untapped. Ashnod's Altar, sack a creature, add colorless. So, since Cormela's ability costs colorless, what we can do here is we can use Cormela, pay 1, add blue, red, black, use black and any of the other colors to cast, say, Demonic Gifts on her, and then we sacrifice her to Ashnod's Altar. She returns to play. We still have that other color of mana floating, and now we have 2 colorless. We can then use that colorless that we got from the Ashnod's Altar to tap her again. Her death trigger would pick up the Demonic Gifts. So then you can just repeat this for infinite non-black mana. And you have infinite red, blue for spells or colorless mana. And this also has infinite storm count, so the deck does play like a grape shot. You could play, if you have a brain freeze, you could play that. If you have any other non-double black storm kill, you could do that. If you had a way to get like a dark ritual in the graveyard, you could most definitely also play tendrils too. But you just know that when you're comboing off, you don't get double black, or infinite black. You end up with 1 black at the end when you decide to stop the combo. Goryo's is very similar, but it works with comboing Cormela from the graveyard. So basically, we would pay the 1, tap her for the mana, sacrifice her for the colors, pick up Goryo's, use one of the colorless or the other colors in the black, Goryo's her back, use the mana, tap her, repeat this process. And so it's another way to generate infinite mana, infinite storm, pick your poison from there to kill the opponent, basically. So yeah, this deck is very much an all-in combo deck. It's pretty vulnerable to being attacked, but if you're not being focused down and you can maintain your life total, interact with the board enough, keep yourself alive, you can do very powerful things, and she's definitely not a general to be underestimated. I play an Activated Sleeper in my list. I'll have the full list in the description, but Activated Sleeper is just a redundant copy of our combo pieces. You can unearth it too, so like you can use it to get back just combo pieces that had died, creatures, opponents' creatures that had died. Just a really versatile card, and it's a card that I think should be a high-powered commander staple in the end. So, let me know what you guys thought about the first Magic video I did. I have a Golgari deck that's also a Wall of Blood deck, but again, I said you're going to be seeing a lot of Wall of Blood. The card does way too much for what its low price point is. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Is Cormela something that interests you? Do you like playing all in combo? Let me know, and as always, thanks.